I wonder how many people are going to see this video and based on the quality just click off it immediately. Where do I even begin? Firstly, welcome to Marchintosh. Now, if you don't know what Marchintosh is, it's a thing that happens in, you guessed it, the month of March, and it's focused around old classic Macintosh things. My idea for today's video was to actually edit this entire video using just this PowerBook as well as a Sony Handycam that is capturing this current footage. And I'm also doing this voiceover bit with a Touch 2nd generation for reasons that I'll explain right now. Now, I did not have a voiceover in mind when I did this initially. I just wanted to use the camcorder audio. However, because of the low quality nature of the audio that the capture device has done, I'm doing this because I already shot a lot of footage and I don't want to reshoot everything because there were some installations there, and if I have to uninstall and reinstall everything, then that's not exactly the best way to spend an afternoon. So instead, I'm going to continue with this voiceover and just briefly explain what I've done so far and what we're up to now. The whole point in today's video is to edit footage on a PowerBook, which is also why I'm using a standard definition camera. So starting off, I actually wanted to install Final Cut, and that was the first thing to go wrong because whenever I tried to open it up, it got stuck at loading audio filters. After spending all that time trying to install it, I just completely skipped it, and then I decided to go to iMovie, which was already installed on the PowerBook, and that actually worked just fine. The next thing to go not exactly to plan though was when I tried to transfer over the MP4 files, putting the files into iMovie seemed to take forever, and I decided to update it using my iLife DVD from 2005 to iMovie HD because I figured it would have better support for MPEG-4 video. It didn't really seem to change anything, but even after installing it, I just decided, you know what, even if it's going to take forever to load, just let it load so that way it finishes. And because I'm more used to the Intel Mac Mini that I'm using, which instantly imports audio and video, I guess I thought something was wrong. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was the typical PowerPC experience anyways. So, like I said, I just left it to do its own thing, and eventually everything got imported. It just took quite a while. I guess even though all of the audio that I've recorded so far wasn't exactly up to the video standards, and those aren't exactly all that high, at least the video footage that was recorded so far wasn't too terribly exciting. But like I said, eventually I just stuck with iMovie HD, and that's what I'm currently using to edit this video. And as much as I want to do this on newer hardware, I'm sticking with the PowerBook to see how well it can do. By the way, I also keep forgetting to mention about the Mighty Mouse, but I did actually pair my wireless Mighty Mouse to the PowerBook just so I could use an actual mouse instead of just the trackpad for editing. Not entirely important or exciting, but it is actually pretty handy to have. Hey, check it out, some definitely 100% historical accurate footage from 2002. There's absolutely nothing to do here. Absolutely nothing. So why don't we see what's on TV? Let's see what else is here. Okay, next channel. Man, it seems like there's a whole Eiffel 65 marathon here. Okay, next up, what do we have? Huh, I don't think I've ever seen this on TV before. Hey, what do you know? It looks like this camera. I wonder if this is some sort of trailer for a brand new camera or something. I don't think I've ever seen that, but that's a strange XP theme. This must be time glitch or something, because I don't think I've seen a camcorder like that. What the heck is DV? That doesn't look like any sort of computer I've seen. Alright, what else do we have? What in the world is that? Is this like some sort of advanced PDA device? iPod? I think that's enough of TV for today. We are live, at least using PowerBook technology and recording the audio directly into the PowerBook instead of the converter box. So I have a RCA to 3.5mm adapter, and this actually has a line input, so I can just directly record the audio. And right now we are actually using the Handycam microphone instead of just the iPod Touch I was using earlier for the voiceovers. And what I really like about the QuickTime player here is that with the recording icon you have a actual tape-based camcorder. But unfortunately the PowerBook doesn't let me do video capture because this doesn't have any sort of video input. I will say that the PowerBook does actually have an S-Video jack on the side here, right next to the DVI port, but that only functions as a TV output, so you can't use it as an input, and I have tried, just to double check, because if it was actually an input, then that would have made things a lot easier, but fortunately I do still have the Diamond Multimedia there to digitize content, and now that we've got the boring things out of the way with the hassle of trying to get a video editor and realizing that I already had one that actually functioned, why don't we actually take the Handycam and just look at some cool things? I don't know how well the PowerBook is going to demonstrate video quality to the Handycam, and remember, this is all being recorded over S-Video, so don't expect something like DV Firewire quality because I don't have a Digital 8 Handycam. Otherwise, I definitely would use that because, of course, being a early 2000s Macintosh, we got FireWire on here, and FireWire is awesome, but unfortunately this camcorder doesn't have FireWire. So it's the next best thing. It's not terrible. It certainly could be worse. But let's go ahead and try out this Handycam to see exactly what it can do. And we are back to 2008 levels of audio quality here with the iPod Touch, and I will say I'm sorry about the changes in the audio levels between the camcorder clips and the iPod clips. However, iMovie can only do so much with adjusting the audio. It's not exactly perfect. Then again, I'm recording this video with the 2002 Handycam, editing it all on a 2004 PowerBook, and doing additional voiceover clips with the 2008 iPod Touch. So you can't exactly expect high definition perfection with something like this. And by the way, I didn't actually mention this, but I am actually using pre-2012 EarPod style headphones, the official Apple ones that came with any iDevice before 2012, record with the microphone on it. The microphone on them, could it be better? Of course. But considering the age and the budget nature of these headphones, they're actually still relatively decent. Editing on the PowerBook itself isn't exactly the worst thing in the world. Now, could it be better? Of course, with something like a higher end G4 processor, or potentially running older software on here, or at the same time using something like a PowerMac G5, then I'm sure that this would be a lot faster and even more responsive than it already is. However, considering the fact that this is a 1.33 GHz PowerPC processor, and I don't even have a full gigabyte of RAM in this machine, it's actually pretty decent. The playback itself isn't 100% perfect. Sometimes it does slow down. However, I've found that if I simply just quit out of iMovie, or sometimes reboot the entire machine and open the project back up, then it will actually play the timeline smoothly and in real time. So I'm not exactly sure what that entire thing is about, but it's nice to see that it's not permanent, and playback is actually relatively good on this machine. Like I said earlier, the main downside to this, and what's really showing its age, is whenever you try to import video, or at least a lot of video clips, into iMovie. Now, I'm not sure if this is because iMovie does some sort of converting process whenever it's importing something, or it's just because it's running on PowerPC hardware. However, I don't have similar era machines, at least of Macintosh variety, to really test this theory out, so I can't exactly say that the PowerBook or iMovie is to blame. It's possible that it's also because it's an MP4 video instead of something like DV. The file format itself is also what's causing this to slow down. I'm sure that with a direct FireWire capture, or at least just DV video, it would be faster. But again, I don't have the proper equipment to test stuff like this out, so I really can't say too much about this until I've had further experience with iMovie and similar era machines. Whenever I began this project, I did not have high expectations, and I would have been surprised if it just ran well at all. But I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised that it actually works better than I expected. Now, is it the most perfect thing to use nowadays? Probably not. But considering that this is a 2004 era machine, and it's a laptop, not even a desktop, and the fact that it actually can play real-time video while it's editing, it actually does a pretty good job. Now, fancy features like transitions or even just adding text to the video does actually take a little while to render and load, but honestly, it isn't terrible because, again, considering this is a PowerPC laptop, it actually does the job pretty well. Now, I wanted to make sure that the PowerBook could actually handle the video, which is why I'm recording in standard definition. However, I'm sure that even HD video with something like a mini DV sort of camcorder that can record HDV content, so high definition content, but it's recorded on a tape, or it can be transferred over FireWire, then I'm sure that it would do a decent job as well. And I'm sure that with some upgrades to this machine, and even using Tiger with iMovie HD, then it would probably run even better than it already is right now. Considering the limitations and just the overall process of doing this, I'm just glad to see that it works really well, given the fact that this machine is almost 20 years old at this point. We have successfully completed our goal of editing video on PowerPC technology for Marchintosh. I've got some other ideas planned for this PowerBook for Marchintosh, and hopefully they'll be out when Marchintosh is still a thing. If you want to stay tuned for those videos, then consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed today's video, then leave a thumbs up if you guys want to see more content just like this. And it's also kind of crazy to think just how old these devices are actually becoming nowadays, considering that these were top of the line back in the day. Even though they're obsolete by today's standards, they're still usable if you know what to do with them. That's going to be it for today's video, and as always, thank you very much for watching.